The subject of faith could be one that is pleasant for some to talk about, and for others, triggering. It can be upsetting, or just remind you of some people you'd care to forget about in your life. My intention in talking about faith this week is to just kind of think about what is it and what does it inspire in us. I think that many people have a system of beliefs that they could define as a faith. And I myself am a person of faith in the traditional sense, although it's not something I share often on this channel. But even if you're not a person of faith in the traditional sense, there's probably some things that you hold close to you that you believe in dearly enough that it could qualify as a faith. We put our faith in lots of things. We put our faith in sometimes our countries, sometimes our ideologies, our knowledge, things like that. In the Christmas season, there's kind of this idea that faith in and of itself is a good thing. It's like a season where you're supposed to believe, believe in Santa Claus, be good, watch the polar bears drink Coca-Cola, and buy a lot of stuff so that your family knows that you love them. And in that way, faith can be a negative experience because it doesn't really mean anything to put your faith in fairy tales or cartoon characters, because the purpose is not that you have faith, but it is what have you put your faith in. And not to get preachy, but in the scriptures for my personal faith, it reads, "By your fruits you will know them." And I think that's the operative idea behind faith. Is a metaphor, of course, trees that bear fruit. So what kind of fruit are you bearing from your thoughts and your beliefs? We've seen some horrible examples of how faith can be used in quite a negative way throughout history, world history, of course, but up into including recent events in my own country. As an American, I think faith can be used to do some very damaging things. But then again, we come back to the idea of fruit. Is it bitter, rotten fruit? Things like suspicion, indignation, anger, arrogance. I've seen a lot of people allow their faith to make them arrogant. Does your faith inspire good things from you? Is it sweet fruit? That's something that I like to think about when worrying about all of those subjects of faith. I can't really quantify what's really out there in the world. What's the right thing to believe? What's the right place to go? Should you be a person of prayer? Should you be a spiritual person? At the end of the day, we're all just making our best guess at what it's going to be, what's really out there, what's in the world. But we can see what our faith does when the things that we believe in inspire actions, ideas, thoughts, and results from us. The fruit. What's the fruit of your actions? So that's something I'm thinking about. I think the other thing that about faith that is important, and the thing that makes me kind of want to understand it, is that essentially when you have faith in something, be that a country, a family, another person, a religious belief, you're admitting or you're saying that there is something bigger than you out in the world, something that's more important than you or your life. And I think that's an idea that whether you're a religious person or not, you could kind of connect with, right? That there's something bigger. There's something worthy of your life, of sacrifice of your life in some cases, or at least of serving some way in your in your work. So I don't know. I think maybe some people get offended at that notion, but honestly, it's okay if you're offended by the idea that there's something out there in the world that's bigger than you. I could use a few less friends, to be honest, that believe the world revolves around them. I think I have enough of those. I'm really interested in people who are putting their faith in things outside themselves. Anyway, you could still stick around even if you do think that the universe revolves around you. But you may not have the same faith that I do, but in the grand scheme of things, I realize that I and my beliefs and what I think all this stuff out in the world means is not really so important. But that my faith gives me an opportunity to hold myself against a different standard and see if I am truly bearing a good fruit. So that's kind of where I am with all of those things. I know myself in some ways through my faith. It is a standard, it is a flag that I fly. It is my act of belonging. And it's a promise I make that there's something larger outside of myself that I can put my life to, that I can sacrifice against. So that's all I had to say about that. Hope you're well, and stay tuned for next week, the next Advent candle I'm looking forward to sharing with you.